Good morning. We are live and it is good to be with you. I'm going to start the show a little bit salty today. It is going to get a little bit nasty. So let's just dig right into it and do it. Oh, it is good to be here with you. It is good to be here. It's good to be here. So this is how my morning started. I had a whole show planned, and I got around to it eventually, but I was delayed because the first thing I do when I wake up is I check to make sure nothing huge happened while I rested my little blue eyes. And then I check social media, and then I check, after checking the news, I check social media. This and I ran face first into this and lost my ever loving freaking mind. This is over. This is over. This is done. I am done with this. I want you to go to Blue Sky. This is my page on Blue Sky. You can go to your page on Blue Sky, any page on Blue Sky. You look in the upper right hand corner, there's a search box here. I want you to do a search. I want you to type in Hakeem Jeffries. And you get this nastiness. A lot of these people, some of these people are well-known people. Some of it is positive. Like Hakeem Jeffries just went on the number one podcast in the country, the largest podcast in the country, Midas Touch. He just went on. He explained where they are, what they're doing, what's going on, how we're fighting, all that, all that stuff that people keep whining about. Oh, we're not hearing what the deal. The Democrats are so quiet, this, that, and the other. This is the stuff that Mr. Know-It-All Nobody on social media is all excited about. This one right here. Hakeem Jeffries has written a book. He wrote a book, and it is called The ABCs of Democracy. And believe me, right now, that is a book a lot of these people need to be reading. It is called The ABCs of Democracy. And he wrote the book before the election, of course. You don't write books overnight. And he had commitments that he made to his publisher. It's a good book. It really is. One of those commitments is, hey, I will go promote the book. I will go do things like, show up at book signings. So Hakeem Jeffries is getting on a plane. He's flying to Chicago. He's flying to other places where the book signings are. And then he's getting right back on a plane and he's flying his ass back to Washington, D.C. He is fulfilling his obligations. He is. But the whiners, and let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know who I am. Y'all know my name. You know my face. You hear my voice. I hide nothing. Hell, y'all know where I live. Folks, Eisenhower is, and he's a Republican, guys. I don't normally talk up Republicans, but there's a lot that Eisenhower did that I liked. One of his best quotes is not his most famous quote, but it is absolutely fantastic. Eisenhower said, if you cannot serve, you cannot lead. Period. And it's true. And I'm going on social media and I'm seeing these people, no name, no face. I've been doing this for years, folks. This didn't happen overnight. Overnight successes take longer than you would ever imagine. I have been talking for years. You know who I am. You know who I have worked with. You have seen the pictures of me at the White House. You have seen the pictures of me sitting at the right hand of the chief of staff of the last administration during a strategy meeting. You know who I am. If I say I'm going to lead, you know what the fuck you are following. But anonymous internet guy wants you to follow him into a violent protest. Really, dude? Really? Really? You anonymous fucking internet guy want me to throw it all on the line for you. And you won't even show me your damn face, much less let me hear your voice. Let me know what you're all about. Oh, wait, you're a grocery store clerk at Walmart who happens to also think that you got the chops to tell the leader of the Democratic Party exactly what he needs to be doing when he's doing it? Fuck off. You know, everybody is entitled to an opinion. We are. But these circular firing squads, these people all over the internet that don't know anything, they can't tell you why the legislature is not doing anything. They can't tell you that when they told you before the election had all their ideas, don't show up, don't do this, don't this, that, and the other. They don't understand what that meant. They don't know what it means to be the minority in the legislature, and they don't understand how little the legislature has to do with executive orders. But wait a minute, one Democrat voted for a Trump nominee, so therefore burn it all down. Shut up. Shut up. Shut your stupid, filthy mouth. You want to do that? Go watch the Young Turks. That's who that is. No, I'm not doing it. I am not playing that game anymore. No, I will not. I will not entertain it. And they whine, well, you're telling me I can't have my opinion. You can have your opinion all damn day, but you can't do it on my feed, my community. You go spend years talking. You spend years telling people who you are so that they will join you and follow you. And then you give that fucking opinion, but you don't do it on my feed. And I'm not talking about sincere, I'm worried, I'm scared, I want to see the Democrats more. That's not who I'm talking about. It's not. Folks, the 2025 project, part of it was they're going to do it through executive orders. Why? Because then the legislature has almost nothing to do with it. And the Democrats don't control the committees, so they can't even hold hearings on it. And the Republicans are rubber stamping. That's all by design, folks. They've got an op on social media that says to make themselves seem inevitable, they aren't. To make this feel overwhelming, it's not. It's not even new. This is the same playbook that Richard Nixon used back in the 60s, 1960s. Run a bunch of executive orders through, pretend you're inevitable, do all the damage you can, and then the courts come and wipe you out, but it takes the court 6 months to do it. Meanwhile, you pretend you're a king. This is not new. Nixon did this exact same thing. He did. But do you think these neophytes that are telling me Hakeem Jeffries has to be replaced with AOC today? Bullshit. You know I like AOC, but I'm going to tell you something. She doesn't have the relationship. She doesn't have the clout. She cannot lead the Democratic Party. Hakeem Jeffries sat there in every single speaker vote, and he kept every single Democrat in line voting exactly how he wanted them to vote because he has built the relationships over time. Sure, we got great. I promote them all the time. Robert Garcia, Jasmine Crockett, AOC. I promote them all the time. I do. Do I want them to be my leader? No. No, I do not. I want them out there fighting. I want them out there making their beds. I want them out there earning your support. That's what I want. But my leader has to be fucking old school. He does. He's got to be old school. He has got to have the relationships. He's got to be able to pull in all factions in our wonderful big tent and keep all of the ships in the armada sailing the same direction. So, you know, and I'm going to tell you, I know these people personally. These people I'm criticizing right now, I've mentioned my son before, who is MAGA. And I've told you, I know exactly who he is, what he is, where he is. He's not radical MAGA. He doesn't hate everybody. He's just drinking the Kool-Aid. I got a daughter that is just the mirror opposite. Just the mirror opposite. She is out there left, man. I mean, out there left. She is on the very fringe. Thank you. I appreciate that, Mike, because as you can tell, I chose immediately. We're gonna demonetize this son of a bitch today. I'm hot. I'm hot. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit on the hot side. I know this isn't pleasant, but we're gonna do this. My daughter, she calls me all the time, texts me all the time. You need to say this. You need to do this. You need to make this happen. What? No. To start with, you and I love you, baby, but you and I, we are in different camps. Some things I'm very conservative about. Some things I'm very, very liberal about. Some things we agree on. But no, I don't need to do what you say because you are on the very fringe. I mean, she is straddling communism. She's like where socialism and communism meets. Politically, that's where she's at on the spectrum. No, baby, I'm not going to do what you tell me to do because your ideas, while I love your moxie, I love your spirit, I love some of your ideas deeply, that's not where we need to lead the country. So when I tell you I know these people, I know these people. And they are arrogant. And they think that they really have the political chops to tell the Speaker of the Democratic Party. I don't even tell the fucking Speaker of the Democratic Party what he needs to be doing. I listen to the man and understand where we are going as a party. But these people are so damn arrogant, and it just has me. You can see how red I am. I'm fucking pissed. And the worst part of it is you have people like the Young Turks. You have people like this Klippenstein guy that is just, I can get me some clicks, man. I can get all these radicals out there to click for me, this, that, and the other. Well, you know what, bud? That ain't where we're at. This is all hands on deck. Everybody needs to be doing what they can be doing. So my show today is going to be talking about the Trump administration, the Trump regime. We're going to go through it piece by piece and explain why it's going to fail with receipts. That's what we're going to do. I am not going to bitch that Hakeem Jeffries wrote a book several months ago and is doing his obligated job of promoting the book. And it's a book that obviously a lot of you out there pretending to tell the leader of the Democratic Party what he needs to be doing by the shit you're saying, need to read the ABCs of democracy so that you can understand that how the legislature works, how the minority in the legislature works. Anyways, I needed to vent that off before we got started. Thank you for sticking with me. I see the audience is still growing. Take a second to hit the thumbs up button. But yeah, my days of being nice, I had one of them tell me today that tried to speak for me, saying I was saying X, Y, and Z, to which I responded, no, what I told you was to fuck off. That's what I told you. I had another person tell me, don't lecture me about what I can. It came to my feed and then told me, don't lecture me about what I can and cannot say. Oh, really? That's exactly what I'm going to do. You know, in the movie, when the battle starts and the first volley of fire comes in and people start dying and hitting the trenches and the people start to panic and people start to run, there's a guy who's been through this shit before that stands there and says, hold the line. That's my job. That's who I am. So let me just give you a brief explanation of where we are and why we're going to hold the line. This isn't new. They tried it with Nixon. It failed then. It will fail again. Their entire administration is set up to fail. We're going to talk about that today. But these executive orders, some of the damage will last. Some of it will not. But they are incompetent jackasses. We will get through this. And we will restore, we will fix, as with every Democratic administration that comes into power, we will fix the damage that Republicans do and move our country forward. But no, Mr. Anonymous Internet Guy, I'm not going to follow you into your violent protest because we have to have a revolution. My red line for that is, if the elections stop, that's when I start calling for revolution. That's when you'll hear it out of my mouth. But right now we have elections coming up, and I need people in the trenches holding the fucking line. I don't need whiners on the internet talking about, yeah, Hakeem Jeffries, how dare he? This is terrible, and I feel bad, and he's promoting his book when I feel bad. Fuck you. Grow a pair. Other than that, I'm in a great mood today, folks. So let's dig into it. Let's do our job. Let's go through and dismantle this thing piece by piece and explain exactly why these people are going to fail. Let's start with Pete Hegseth. Pete Hegseth, Department of Defense, Secretary of Defense, is going to utterly fail. And he's failing already. This is why. Yes, we documented that he smells like scotch when he walks by. We've documented that his personal beliefs, he has Christian nationalist freaking radical ass tattoos all over him. His personal beliefs set him up to fail. You cannot run the Department of Defense with his mindset. He personally is the wrong man for the job. Because that job, much like being president, you have to lead all the ships. But they're not doing that. Stephanie, thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate you being here. Oh, yes, by the way, this is something else that they tried to criticize me on when I told them to hold the line, was that because you folks actually support my show, therefore I have no credibility because I should be broke and poor and have no reach and have no message to have credibility. I don't know. That's them. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate you. All right, look, let me explain just how bad. First of all, they're already doing reviews. They're gonna force some of our most talented, experienced officers to resign because they don't lick Trump taint. They're not political enough. They're not Mike Flynn's. So we're going to lose all that talent. We are. And you've got to understand, Pete Hegseth looks like a deer in the headlights for a reason, because he is. He is working in a building over men for which he does not have the right to dab the sweat. Over men and women, he does not have the right to dab the sweat out of their ass crack. He's not qualified. He's not. His military experience is shit compared to these people. Yes, to say he is in way over his head is laughably out of scale. I mean, he is wildly underqualified compared to, and if you've ever been in that situation, there is one way to lead. If you are thrown, if your daddy owns the company and he throws you into a spot, you're not qualified to run, but that whole organization is full of people that are really freaking good at their job. Yeah, they don't respect you. They don't. The only way they will respect you is if you say, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm here and we got to make this work. I need you. But he ain't doing that. He's not. He is. They're, like I said, they're reviewing. They're gonna fire a bunch of highly qualified people, and then they're gonna promote up people based on, will you lick Trump's taint? Not, are you really good at command? Are you really good at running the group in which I'm going to promote you over? None of that. It's, will you the taint? That's what it is. And that's what it's going to be. And they're going to fail because of, if that was it, they would fail. But it's also, he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't understand the organization he's running. And I'll give you an example. Big news story today. Oh, Lord, I didn't clip that one. Okay, the big news story today is Pete Hegseth goes, he announces, we're going to cut 8% per year out of the Pentagon. We're going to make massive cuts to defense spending. You folks are not political neophytes. You people are not dumb people. You know immediately, red flag. And why is that a red flag? Randy Oliver, thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate you. You know he couldn't. Ogbreath couldn't run a lemonade stand. E.T., my brother, I saw you go by. I saw you there. Far left can be just as bad, if not worse, than MAGA right. It is one reason why I'm center realist politically. They are, man, anybody that falls into a political spectrum exactly, like if you fall into I am far left, you're doing it wrong, because that is not the world. The world doesn't work that way. Nothing is presented to you every way that you can be in one political position and have the right answer. Not every situation is the same. If you're not like me, where some things I'm way over, I know I'm inverted here. What's right is left and what's left is right are two different things. This is my right. If I am way the hell, thanks, Stephanie. I appreciate you being here so much. If I'm over here, if something comes up, sometimes I'm way over here on my right, But other things that we talk about, I'm way over here, like healthcare. We're going to talk about healthcare a little bit today. I'm way over here on the left, man. I'm with our European allies on that one. I am. I am. You know what I mean? If you're not flexible like that, you're doing it wrong. And if you're shooting your own team in the ass all the time, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. But let's get back to Pete Hegseth. All right, Germany in the house. All right, my people, my people. My people are from Germany, Norway, and Ireland before we came to the United States. And you know what? I bet that's really weird to them, like because somebody from Germany is from Germany. You know what I mean? They're born and raised Deutschland. I mean, Deutschland. I bet it's weird, because it's like, oh, hey, we're the same people, and they're like, no, you're not. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about this today. We're going to talk a little bit. David, thanks for the support, guys. All right, let's get back on track. Diane, thank you for the support. I really appreciate you being here. I do. Look, this is the kind of thing that when they bring Pete Hegseth says we're going to cut 8% per year out of defense. I go, great. If we had a competent administration with a competent leader over the Pentagon, I would be ecstatic about that, because I got to tell you, we are way over militarized. We have way too big a military. This is where my left chops start coming out. Now we need a strong military. Don't get me wrong. I'm for research. I'm for development. I'm for all that. But good God, when you could fight the world, the entire world, and have a chance, you got too big a freaking military. You do. I mean, you just do. We can't, and we're not at war. This is us at peace. Yeah, so yeah, I'm good with cuts to the military. I think it's been too big for too long. But I'm not for just some idiot moron coming in with political ideology and whacking away. It's not going to work. It's just not going to. And let me explain why it's not going to work. The Abrams tank. Years ago, let me see if I pulled that one up. I know I pulled that one up. All right, here we go. Years ago, and this has been going on for decades, folks. This is from over a decade ago. Army says no more tanks, please. But Congress insists. Folks, the United States Army has been receiving new tanks forever, taking them off the train, taking them to a parking lot, and parking them. They do not have the crews for them. They don't have the need for them. We're literally maintaining tanks that we don't need or use or can man. We're like rotating them out, like, it's crazy. And the Army itself said, please stop doing this. Please. There are other things we'd like to spend money on. They just came up with finally replaced that jackass Eugene Stoner-based AR-based frickin' rifle that we have used forever that has sucked ass. People that say, well, the AR-15 is an excellent rifle, the platform was Eugene Stoner was a genius. Immediately, all credibility gone. All credibility gone. Our military was not equipped with the best squad rifle. It just wasn't. Never has been. Not since Vietnam. It hasn't been. Because this stupid weapons platform. But anyway, I don't want to get off on it. I don't want to go. They finally replaced it. They replaced it with the XM7. Moving in the right direction. Like I said, I'm not anti-military. I'm just anti-stupid shit. But do you know why? Why they keep buying those tanks, even though the Army for decades has been saying stop? And why they're doing this? That's from the U.S. Army, folks. Army announces plans for new M1E3 Abrams tank modernization. Can anybody, you are smart freaking people. You are smart. I know. I know you can answer this. This is an interactive, this is our community. When I say, why are they buying the Abrams tank? Still, even though the Army says, I got enough, man. Why? Could it be where it's made? Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you for supporting the show. Could it be where it's made? And I will blow my freaking mind if any of you can tell me where the Abrams tank is made. Yeah, bingo, Mr. Newton, exactly. If any of you in the next, I'll give you 5 seconds, can pop up where it's made. Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate it. Close enough. Close enough. It's made in Lima, Ohio. Lima, Ohio. Yep. Lima, Ohio. So let me ask you something. You think Congress is going to cut the funding? Or do you think they're just going to go through that next generation? No, they're going to fail. They're going to fail. Because right now, you've got Pete Hegseth, who doesn't know his own organization enough to propose cuts. Get this. He didn't propose an 8% per year cut because he knows that will finally wake Congress up. Yeah. What do you think is going to happen to Ohio when they start cutting the manufacture of these plants? Or here in Texas, where they make the F-35 just down the road from me. Still manufacturing that F-35 while warfare just changed. It did. The war in Ukraine. If you haven't been following the show, I've talked about it in the past. We'll talk about it again in the future. But this war in Ukraine just changed war. Just like the invention of the tank changed war. When tanks hit the battlefield in World War I, war changed forever. Yeah, this war in Ukraine with drones and AI and war just changed forever. But we're still pumping them F-35s out, baby, because they're made right here in Fort Worth, Texas. Woo! And that ain't going away. So Pete Hegseth did not go to Congress and say, my new budget needs to be smart, because that was what the lip service that the MAGA people are going to hear. We're modernizing our warfare. Nah, he didn't go to Congress for that. He didn't understand. He did not understand how his organization worked enough to actually propose the cuts, but he did understand the politics enough to not go to Republicans in the legislature that are sitting on their fat asses doing nothing while you rape our government, to actually do something that would actually make them stand up. What he did was he went to the Pentagon, like little boy Oliver, and said, could you please tell me how I can cut 8% per year out of the budget? And I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. That 8%, and do the math on it. 8% this year means next year's budget is 92% of what this is. You take 8% off of that. By the time you're done, you're a little over 30% in cuts in 5 years. But he just went to the Pentagon and said, please tell me how I can do this. That's not leadership. That's fucking failure. That is failure. And it's not going to work. And what's worse is everybody that's going to make those recommendations to them in a matter of a few weeks to a couple of months are all going to be Trump sycophants, and their qualifications aren't going to be waging war. Their qualifications are going to be, how well do you guzzle that tank? Ukrainians have been absolutely destroying tanks for pennies on the dollar. Amen. Amen. They have absolutely crippled Russia. There are Russian troops riding into combat on donkeys right now because Ukraine destroyed so many armored personnel carriers. That's not hyperbole. Look it up. They have started a retraining, the old cavalry training where they used to train people how to feed and care for horses. Yeah, they've had to reinitialize that in the Russian military because they have troops dragging carts and riding into battle on donkeys. But we're still spending more than the next 26 nations combined at peacetime. But hey, right? It would be great if we had like a competent government that wanted to cut that budget, but we don't. We don't. They're going to fail. Pete Hegseth is going to fail. This is another one that's going to fail. Marco Rubio, little Marco, our Secretary of State. I will ask you again, does anybody believe that this man, when he sits down at a negotiating table, that anyone that sits across from him believes that he speaks for the United States of America? Can he make a deal? No, not even close. Antony Blinken, when you sat across from Antony Blinken, you knew that Blinken and Biden were on the same page. That Antony Blinken had been briefed before he sat down, and everything that came out of Antony Blinken's mouth was coming out of Joe Biden's mouth. And that if he made a deal with you, that when Antony Blinken went back to his boss and said, I got a deal, the boss was going to say, good deal. Got it. Okay. This is what we got. Do you think anybody believes for one freaking second, just one nanosecond, that this guy has that authority? Not even close. Not even close. Because this guy can run his mouth and pretend to make a deal with you, but you're really dealing with this guy. You're really dealing with this guy. And his business interests and whatever he wants.
If you got to protect the First Amendment, it's not much more important than that.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of criticism, and people said, well, that proves he's a huge idiot from he voted for whatever, $44 billion, and now it's worth like 8 cents. And
it's not worth 8 cents.
It was essentially to.
I got to say it. This funny thing is, it's actually worth closer to 8 cents than it is the $44 billion that he paid for it. The actual value of it is that's the hilarious part. Mr. Newsmax guy said it's not worth 8 cents. Well, you know what? The value of it is actually closer to 8 cents than it is the $44 billion that he paid for it.
Yeah. By freedom of expression.
If you got to protect the First Amendment.
So yeah, that word salad, Mr. I can't show you my pupils. I've got to wear blackout glasses. You know, the ketamine kid, the guy that can't put, yeah, ketamine high, mumbling like a fourth grade. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly my first thoughts also. Wearing sunglasses is common among ketamine users. Yes, it is, because the pupils dilate massively. And it hurts. It's not just because they don't want you to see their pupils. It's because when you're under lights, it hurts. So they wear blackout shades and they mumble and they can't keep their thoughts straight. And they can't answer just simple, basic questions and look like a fucking idiot, just like the guy that's pulling the strings in our government does. So I've got to ask you, if you are the Secretary of State, if you're little Marco, just on that point, can you succeed? No. If that was it, you would already be failing, because you cannot be Secretary of State. You know, his counterpart in Russia, Sergei Lavrov, I've said this many times. I hate that son of a bitch. I do. I hate him. I hate him. But I will tell you, he is freaking good at his job. And one of the reasons he is good at his job is he works. Like RuPaul said, you got to work, bitch. Lavrov is in constant contact with the boss. When Lavrov speaks, you hear Putin's voice. And Lavrov is good at negotiations. Marco Rubio is out of his depth. If it was just that point, you know, Antony Blinken could swing with Sergei Lavrov. I think Sergei Lavrov is actually the best person to ever do his job for any country. I do. I think he is the heavyweight in the ring. I really do. I will tell you that all day long and twice on Sunday, even though I hate that son of a bitch. Respect your enemy. But Antony Blinken could swing with him because we have this massive organization behind us that works really frickin' well. Not Marco Rubio. Again, Marco Rubio isn't qualified to dab the sweat out of Sergei Lavrov's butt crack, and he is sitting out there trying to talk to people that are supposed to be our allies and people that are supposed to be that are our enemies, and he's supposed to be talking as though his words mean something, and they don't. Can he possibly succeed? No, not at all. Not at all. He's going to fail. And that is before you get to another critical point. See, Marco Rubio was a senator. Marco Rubio has received intelligence briefings far beyond anything you or I get. Marco Rubio is steeped in the anti-Russian tea because he knows how dangerous they are. He knows that the way they operate, unlike his boss. And Marco Rubio is being forced into a pro-Russian position, knowing full well he cannot do that. So you add those things together and you tell me, we're a community here. You tell me, can he possibly succeed at his job? Is there any possible way for him to succeed? Oh man, fresh cup of coffee is always so good. Oh, and thank you again for sending me that coffee warmer. I have it right down here below my monitor. The cord's too short. I can't lift it up for you, but where my plug is, and the cord's not too short. I'm not really lovely gift. I really appreciate it. Keeps that coffee hot for me. I appreciate you. That was a very thoughtful, lovely gift. So he cannot possibly succeed. And everybody knows it. This is David Frum. That article I just posted was from David Frum. The one I just showed you is from David Frum. This is David Frum. And a lot of you people know who David Frum is. David Frum and I will never break bread. We won't. We are so far across from each other on the political spectrum, there is no common ground to be had. Other than this, David Frum says that these people are fricking deluding themselves. And he's making the point that I was just making to you, that Marco Rubio's entire mindset and training cannot be pushed into that pro-Russian box. It won't fit. And Rubio is deluding himself into thinking that he could, in any way, come out of the show. It's like old Rick Wilson said, there's another Republican that, he's a Republican. He is. He's a Republican. He and I, it's like Liz Cheney. Y'all are all like trying to make me wish, say good things about Liz Cheney. And I'm going to tell you, no, she's a Republican. Not me. I'm a Democrat. I'm the chairman of the founder of the Ride or Die Democrats. No. But respect. Rick Wilson coined the phrase, everything Trump touches dies. And he is right. And the same is true about Marco Rubio's career. Oh, Kitby, thank you. Kitby08, thank you so much. That is a hell of a lot of support. I'm very grateful. Thank you. I appreciate you being here, keeping the show rocking. Thank you. But he's not the only one. He's not the only one. You got old RFK here. Remember in RFK Jr., you remember he came out and he swore under oath he wasn't going to touch them vaccines. If you want your kid to be vaccinated, he promises he's not going to touch them vaccines. Except here you go. Here you go. He's already doing it. He's pushing people out that understand the science, that understand it. I don't know. The way you prevent a measles outbreak is vaccinate people with an MMR vaccine. He's showing them the door. And who's he replacing them with? It's just like at the Pentagon. It's not the best people. It's not the people that can do the job. No, it's people that say and go along with his freaking conspiracy theories. Well, you can't run a country that way. You cannot succeed running a country that way. You just can't. We talked about like the Social Security Administration and DOGE and their failures, how they're just not finding everything that they thought, because these billionaires really believe this stuff, that like there's just tons of fraud in Social Security. They got to be. That's why they want me to pay for it, because they're just fraud and it's terrible. It couldn't be that just freaking old folks need it. And Medicaid pays. The majority of your old folks living in old folks' homes are supported by Medicaid. That's where Medicaid money goes. It's not fraud. It's just keeping old folks in old folks' homes so that they're not on the street begging. Yeah. That's why DOGE is failing, because it was all made up conspiracy shit. Same thing with Robert Kennedy Jr. Leo Peltier is free. Now let's resist like he has for 50 years. Folks, if you don't know, Leo Peltier was a first-person activist that has been held in prison for half a century, and he was finally released. I will actually talk about him in the next show. I'll talk about it in the next show. RFK Jr. goes over, attacks SSRIs. That's the thing today. That's the story today. Like I said, before I do a show, I get up and check the news just to make sure whatever I had planned, something big hasn't changed. I was going to talk about the vaccines. No, they announced they're going after SSRIs. If you don't know what SSRIs are, they're antidepressants. There you go. That was the big one today. Wayne, thank you for the support. Here's the problem and why that's going to fail. Anybody here from the thanks again, Wayne. Doubling down. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Anybody here from the Seattle area? The Seattle, Washington area. SeaTac, Seattle, Tacoma, that part of the country. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's going to fail just because of this one thing. It is this example, and this example is replicated throughout the entire system because, like I said, they didn't invent government because it was Tuesday and they were bored. They invented these things because there really is a problem. What is one of the major, all right, I see several people are from that general area. Aurora, thank you for what is a major health problem faced in that region? Probably the biggest health problem. No, love, you're right there in Seattle. You see it all the time. What is probably the biggest health problem facing Seattle? And no, it's not obesity. They're pretty healthy people. Suicide. Why? We're getting it. Bingo, Steve, my man. Boom, Steve. Depression is a huge problem. And here you go. This is exactly why. This is a big reason why. And again, when I say something like this, I got some guy writing me an email before I even came out of my mouth to tell me why this general statement I make isn't the whole answer. It's a fucking general statement, okay? But this is really part of the problem. Ida Garza, and I love your emails. Don't get me wrong. I love when if I get something wrong or you give me additional information. I just hate that email. Well, you said the rain causes depression in that part of the community, and that's not the whole story. I fucking know it. I hate that email, but it's coming. I promise you, it's coming. Yes, Alaska too. Alaska too. Now, the way it used to be dealt with, lack of sunlight, exactly. The way it used to be dealt with was suicide. That part of the country had a massively high suicide rate, which has come down. It has come down. You know why? SSRIs. SSRIs have been wildly successful in that region. RFK Jr. Trump targets meds that 1 in 3 young Seattle area women take. And what are SSRIs? Like I said, they're antidepressants. It's Prozac, Celexa, Zoloft, Lexapro. Now, to somebody that doesn't live there, you know, like if you're MAGA dumbass living here in Texas, and they tell you they're just writing in prescription, there ain't no way a third of people, a third of young women should be on antidepressants. That's just fraud. No, brother. No. Depression is a serious problem in that region, which used to lead to massive numbers of suicides, which these SSRIs help. Folks, just again, Cliff's notes on how these work, okay? You take an SSRI. What it does is it stops your nerve cells from absorbing so much serotonin, which leaves you more excess serotonin in your system to deal with the sadness and you feel better. You do. And I know it seems counterintuitive because serotonin is what makes you feel better. You'd think you'd want your nerve cells absorbing it. No, that they absorb it for different reasons. Scientists figured this out. Who knew? Scientists knew shit. Who knew? But of course, RFK, brainworm Captain treat my depression with heroin guy. Yeah, he was a fucking heroin addict for years. Knows better. He knows better. We're going to go after them SSRIs. Oh, really? Well, a third of the young women in Seattle who are not committing suicide, guess what is going to spike in the next few years? Because RFK is going to fail. And he's going to fail because he's a nut. He's going to fail because he believes conspiracy theories. He's going to fail because he doesn't understand big problems. He's going to cause a huge spike. When they cannot get SSRIs, what do you think these people are going to turn to? You're very familiar with it there, Robert Kennedy Jr. You used to be a heroin aficionado. I think it is used to be. I don't know. I don't know you personally. Maybe you're still a heroin aficionado. I don't know. I know a little bit about addiction. I know a little bit about dealing with people that are addicts. And I know the people that fall off the wagon, that get on the wagon, fall off the wagon. I don't know if you're still using heroin or not. I don't know. But I do know that when you take SSRIs away from a lot of people, they're going to self-medicate. They are. And RFK Jr. is not the only one that's going to fail and fail miserably. Here's Tulsi Gabbard. Oh, Tulsi Gabbard. And this is a big reason why she's going to fail. She is a Russian suck-up. She is a Russian suck-up. Folks, she was in Syria back in 2015. You know, she was a huge Bashar al-Assad sycophant. She would just say things that would make people gasp. And this is one of them. I just want to tell you a story. Back in 2015, as part of her job, you remember I told you these Congress people take trips and junkets. Well, Tulsi liked to go where the Russians were, you know, Syria, that area. And she would come back talking like a Russian. 2015, she's there. Reporters are there. And she's introduced to 3 girls that have horrific burns and injuries all over them. And they told her their village was bombed by Bashar al-Assad and the Russians. And her response is, and I quote, this is a direct quote, "How do you know it was Bashar al-Assad or Russia that bombed you and not ISIS?" That's what she told them little girls. That had just lost their family, their village, that they themselves were horrifically scarred for life. Can anybody give me the short answer as to why we know it wasn't ISIS that bombed them and bombed their village? I want to see. I know you people are freaking smart. I knew you people would know. I knew you people would catch it right away. I knew you people, and you folks that aren't catching it right away are going to go, "Oh, yeah, they did." Yeah, this is exactly why. No planes. ISIS doesn't have. Thank you, William Brown. ISIS doesn't have an air force. You're that stupid. Now, this person now runs ODNI, the Office of Director of National Intelligence. She is. And notice, I didn't even talk about the cult. I didn't talk about all the other criticisms. I'm just talking straight up how stupid this woman is, and has made it known by what left her mouth many times before. Can she possibly succeed as the director of national intelligence? Just that one facet of her personality. Can she possibly succeed? No, not a chance. And that's before you get into the fact that she's wildly unqualified. She does not have a career in the intelligence field. She is disgustingly unqualified for the job. Just that facet of her personality, just that level of stupidity, that she would stand before 3 little girls with burns, horrifically burned, 3 little girls who are scarred for life, that are telling her, please, ma'am, Bashar al-Assad and the Russians bombed our village, and this is what happened. We lost our families. We've lost everything. We've lost everything. Her response was, how do you know it was the Russians? Could have been ISIS. You know, that terrorist organization that don't have fighter bombers. Could have been them. How can that person possibly succeed? They can't. She can't. She just can't. And they're trying to promote people to act as a safety net, but even their safety nets are freaking useless. When you're pandering to morons, it's really hard to get intelligent at all. It is. That is true. Tulsi, as our intelligence director, is like hiring a fox to investigate the murder at the chicken coop. Yeah, it's gross, and it's dumb, and it's useless, worthless stupidity, all of it. But they're trying to somewhat put a face on it. They've nominated Aaron Lucas to be the number 2 there, and Aaron Lucas does have a career in the intelligence field. The problem is, Aaron Lucas, he comes out of Richard Grenell's shop. He's going to fail. He's going to fail. It doesn't matter. Not everybody that does the job is the best at their job or comes out of it with the best point of view. Or, there are a lot of cops that walk beats. There are a lot of cops that have been on the job for 20 years that are shitty cops. That's what Aaron Lucas is. He's going to fail. He's just a taint licker. He's a taint licker. Comes out of Richard Grenell's shop. He was Richard Grenell's assistant. He's a taint licker. So I ask you, the vital office of the Director of National Intelligence in McLean, Virginia, how are they possibly going to succeed? It's just not possible. But I want you to keep in mind, while this happened, while this is going on, that Hakeem Jeffries wrote a book. And oh my God, we've got to destroy the Democrats because Hakeem Jeffries wrote a book. You starting to understand why I was so pissed off when I came in this morning? L.C. Robertson, Nikita Khrushchev, the Soviet premier in the 1950s, is credited with saying, "We do not have to invade the United States. We will destroy them within." Yep, that was their plan, because they knew they could never face us militarily. The Soviet Union's only positives, if you'll call it that, on the battlefield, and they know it, is they're willing to let millions of people die. Civilians, soldiers, they don't care. They don't give a shit. Just let them die. and manufacturing factories. That was it. They knew they couldn't have a pissing contest with us because we could, especially when Khrushchev was talking, could way out manufacture them. And our troops were better. So the idea of confronting us directly was just never an option. So when he said that, it wasn't really like, oh, we're sly and we got a plan and we're not really going to come at the Americans. We don't have to come at them. You couldn't come at us that way. You could not stand toe to toe with. You can't to this day. If the United States and Russia went to war, I mean, balls out, ass kicking contest, we would end Russia in weeks. In weeks. Donna Nelson, thank you. I appreciate it. People have no idea how dangerous this is that Trump has turned the direction he's turned. The folks in Europe, they really, our European audience, pretty please talk to your people. Talk to your people about how dangerous Trump is and how much you need to really, really work on your own defense and your own military strategies and your own military force projection, because you have no freaking idea just how you think you know what our military can do. I promise you, you do not. You do not. I'm begging you, our European folks, please get your shit together to where you don't need us and can be some stability in the world. Linda Orndorff, none of these agency heads are supposed to succeed. That is the point. Show that the government doesn't work that way no one will complain when they dismantle it. Yes. I love you folks for understanding. Yes, there is a big picture. There is a Johnny Got Rocks behind it that wants us to stop spending money on the government because they think they're this dumb. They really think that somehow that they're going to continue to be powerful Johnny Got Rocks once they destroy our government because they think they're that good. They're so freaking arrogant. They're so freaking arrogant. Oh my God. Jason Crew, Google the following. Donald Trump is a Russian asset. The results are a bit eye-opening. I bet. Thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. But we're not done yet. We still got to talk about Kash Patel, who's talking about he's going to rebuild the FBI. He's going to rebuild the FBI. No. Kash Patel has spent the last decade telling anyone that will listen how much he hates the FBI. And he's going to fail utterly, not just because he's incredibly unqualified, not just because he's inexperienced. The guy was a prosecutor for a little while. That's it. That's the resume. I was a prosecutor for a little while. Not even like a head prosecutor. I just a prosecutor for a little while. And Republicans are actually, dumbass MAGA people are actually like, well, he was a prosecutor, therefore he knows how to run the FBI. No, he does not. No. There are prosecutors out there right now today who are smarter than Kash Patel that have no fucking business running the FBI. So yeah, before we talk about the inexperienced part, the fact that he does not have the qualifications for the job, there's this. Skeet Sayre. He has no morals. He is another Robert Kennedy Jr. that believes conspiracy theories. He has spent the last decade talking about abusing government to attack political enemies. And everybody, people are like, well, the Democrats aren't saying up to Democrats. Well, they are if you read, if you listen. Unfortunately today, let's just reiterate this. The corporate media wanted chaos. They wanted to report on Donald Trump. The Republicans take him to nice dinners. The Republicans feed him steaks and Merlot. And the Republicans give him chaos to put eyes on the frickin' screen. And that's what the corporate media is going to do. They're going to ride that Trump horse all the way into their own freaking graves. Because it's good for them, man. Might screw us. Might hurt every old person on Medicaid. That's what Medicaid, the majority of what Medicaid pays for is that. Keeping old folks in old folks' homes. That's the longest green that Medicaid spends. It's keeping old folks in old folks' homes. They're going to wipe it out. Begging on the streets, folks. That's what you're going to see. Old folks begging on the streets. And the corporate media don't give a shit. They don't care. They don't care. This was about the chaos. They want to report. They want to go take pictures of the old folks out on the street and sell it. So no, don't rely on the corporate media. They're not going to tell, they don't have your best interest at heart. They just don't. So if you want to hear what a Democrat has to say, you've got to go look for it. You know how many people I was whooping ass this morning on social media. I was not kind. How many of those people that were running their mouths about the Democrats aren't this didn't even see Hakeem Jeffries on the #1 podcast in the country talking about the Democrats aren't doing really? Because he was just on the #1 podcast in the country. Did you watch it? Well, no, but the Republicans told me that they aren't doing anything, so I'm going to repeat that. But yeah, Dick Durbin here says Kash Patel's record shows he is a dangerous, inexperienced, and dishonest Trump loyalist who is not qualified to serve as the director of the FBI. Period. Yes. Period. He is worse. He is worse than J. Edgar Hoover ever dreamed of being. J. Edgar Hoover knew that he had to put a face on that he was an impartial head of an investigative agency, and he had to hide his dirty dealings. Kash Patel doesn't believe that. He believes he's righteous. That it's okay to call the senator from California without a shred of evidence a criminal. He thinks that's okay. And he's going to fail. Because I got to tell you, folks, people don't understand. Special agents are a very conservative bunch. They are. They are well right of center. And I know it looks like I just went left. I'm not. I'm mirror image to you folks. This is my right hand. They are very right of center people. But even they kind of understand the game. You can't be the Gestapo. You've got to actually pretend you're serving the law. I mean, that's what they want to do is be righteous and serve the law. They don't want to be dirty. And this is dirty. So even the ones that are on board with them are not going to be on board with them with all of this. They're just not. And you're seeing it. You're seeing career prosecutors resign. You're seeing, people that have been in the FBI forever are very much rumbling that, hey, this is not okay. And I'll tell you along these lines, another failure is Kash Patel's boss, Pam Bondi. She is going to utterly fail because, again, nobody ever thought, oh, Pam Bondi, she's a really good attorney general. No, she's in the job for one reason and one reason only. She is a blatant, obvious Trump sycophant. That's why she's in the job. Not because of her qualifications. Not because Gestapo Barbie has chops, man. She's there because she will suck Trump's taint. And she's already doing it. I mean, and people are seeing it. Again, they think it's okay. They think it's righteous. They do. They think it's righteous and okay that they're, they talk about ending lawfare and ending, and they talk about the Biden Department of Justice like it was some, and it's laughable to you and me, but to the stupids that watch Fox News, this is the truth. They think that the Biden DOJ was some sort of political Gestapo. Not even close, man. We wanted them to hurt you so fucking bad, but Merrick Garland was there, and he wouldn't. He wouldn't. They really think that Merrick Garland was some sort of Politico operative out to get them. That's what the stupids think. Sherry, thanks for the support. Keep saying I'm cutting back on my Lexapro and Circle, but my bipolar Pam Bondi is blonde and yeah. No, but this just happened. And again, Samita Fakeda, I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. That big support, and I really appreciate it. So this happened. This just happened. Kind of blew under the news. Senior U.S. prosecutor resigns, citing demand to probe Biden-era contract. The senior prosecutor was a prosecutor by the name of Denise Chung. And what they wanted to do was they wanted to hurt the people that were benefiting. They didn't want anybody to have benefited from President Biden. So the goal was to stop the contract. So they went to Denise Chung and said, open an investigation in it so we can seize the funds and stop the funds from being distributed. And she said, give me a reason why. Give me some evidence of any wrongdoing, of any crime. And they said, no, just do it. She said, it doesn't work that way. I prosecute crime. I investigate crime. Show me a crime, and I'll do my job. And Gestapo Barbie just said, no, we don't want that money to go out. Stop it. She said, that's not a crime. I'm not doing that. And Pam Bondi said, do it or you're fired. And she said, okay, here's my resignation. Career prosecutor. Walked out of the DOJ. Because she wouldn't do it. Now, I guarantee you that there are a lot of special agents that are over 50 that aren't quite at that 57-year mandatory retirement point. Yes, special agents have to retire at 57. It's a physical job. So they make them retire at 57. There's a lot of them that can see the light at the end of that tunnel, that they're not like Miss Chung. She's got skills, man. She's going to walk out of that job and she's going to go to work making probably 4 times what she was making in private practice. And she's going to work against our government now. And that's why they're going to fail. Yet another reason why they're going to fail. Mark Pulikowski, we need to do all we can to flush the turd right. Vote. Pam Bondi. You know what? That is a great segue. That is a great segue. But before we take it, I want to put one more thing up for you to see. Yeah, they did this. After the George Floyd murder, the Department of Justice, you know, the big backlash that came out of the George Floyd murder, where people started actually taking a look at this kind of stuff and the different abuses. Amen, sister. Amen. The different abuses that were going on within these different police departments. Deborah Brown, thank you. And somebody got a really good idea. They said, you know what? We should probably know how bad this is. So they started a database. Whenever there was a cop killing or a cop shooting or somebody died at the hands of police, they put it in the database. Data's good, right? I mean, you can see what the hell's going on. Pam Bondi just deleted it. That data is gone forever. I didn't say that this wasn't going to suck. I said that we're going to get through this if you vote. And I know there's a lot of people out there pushing a lot of hyperbole that are like, it's over. We need a revolution. We need a, maybe you're right. But right now, that red line for me is right now, we can still vote. You can make Hakeem Jeffries the Speaker of the House. And we can have oversight. Folks, this isn't new. Rachel Maddow did a great story on this and did a really good job of cliff notesing it all together. There's a lot more data out there if you care to look. This isn't new. Every time these people get a hold of government, they rehash something Nixon did because that's who they are. It always goes back to that same fundamental point of view about government and the unitary executive and their view of the world. Nixon failed. Amen. Vote local. Get involved with your local Democratic Party, your county Democratic Party. Little Strumpa, you and Tennessee Brando are my two favorite YouTubers. Keep up the good work. I love Brando. I love my brother Brando. I do. He's a good man. He's a good man. I know that if that happens, because it has not happened, if it happens, and it ever gets to the point that we cannot vote and we no longer have democracy, I'll lead you into battle myself. Because that's the point of democracy. A lot of people don't understand. It's really that simple. I mean, I'm asking you, do you know the point of democracy? Really? Do you know the point of democracy? And no, it's not the high-minded, so government will be more responsive to the people. That ain't the answer I'm looking for. There is a much simpler, much dirtier, much more realistic answer than that. Democracy means I don't have to kill you. That's what democracy means. Democracy means that I can lose and I can know that the righteousness of my ideas may carry the day going forward. There will be another election. If that goes away, I will lead you into battle myself. But we ain't there yet. We're not. And these people out there are the same people that were telling you not to vote in the last election. And even worse, look, I sat here and I told you, I am sorry. I apologize to you. I did. I said, look, I fucked up. I did. Going into this last election, I fucked up. And I told you exactly what my fault was, what I did wrong. You got these people that are on the internet right now talking around. They're like, it's the Democrats. They did it. No, we did it. I did it. And if nobody will own that, why are you following them? Because that's what most of these people that are shitting on Democrats are. The Young Turks, all those people are they're finger pointers. You know, those same people, Yashar Ali's a huge one. Shit all over the Democrats and Joe Biden and fomented that whole genocide Joe thing, this, that, and the other, is bitching about Democrats who don't have the power to do the shit he wants done. And not pointing a single finger back at himself and owning what he did. It's getting real time, folks. It is. No, I'm not going to ask my people to follow you, random anonymous internet guy, into a violent revolution, because I don't need martyrs. I need my people to be smart so that we can build the country back when we take power again. And I need them to take power again. And again, I will tell you, look me in my eye, my blue eye, even my eyes are Democrat. I am a Democrat. I'm the founder of the Ride or Die Democrats. I had a person tell me today in one voice that they are not a Democrat, and in the next breath tell me who I, as a Democrat, needed as a leader. No, it don't work that way. No. You want to tell me and my party who should be their leader? Get in the fucking house. Because that kind of talk only comes from inside the house. And until we elect new leaders, which is when that conversation happens, we support the leaders we have now. And I will tell you something, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Hakeem Jeffries has experience beyond his years. He is a good leader. He has a great many connections. He understands how it works. You know, they gave him shit because he went and sat down with several of the CEOs in Silicon Valley. The anonymous follow me into the revolution people on the internet were like, how dare he go sit down? Really? Because that's his job. As the leader of the Democratic Party, he just witnessed these people bend the knee, get on their knees, and service our opponent. You don't think it's his job to go sit down and look them in the eye and flesh out exactly where they are? That's his freaking job. But I had people that don't know anything about politics. Well, he sold us out. No, that's his job. And obviously you don't know that. Anyways, folks. Yeah, I'm a little salty today. I love you folks. I love spending time with you. I love that you folks know this stuff and are so informed. And because, I do, as part of my job, I got to go talk to the stupids. And it's heartbreaking and it wears me out. Gets my blood pressure up and gets me tired. But I'm hoping that you understand what I'm talking about. and that this Trump administration, and stick with me, I'm going to sum it all up. While I'm summing it up, I need you to hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up button. This is the summation right here. One, this isn't new. They tried this under the Nixon administration and they failed, and they will fail again. Two, they planned this for 5 years. We are 1 month into their assault that they planned for 5 years. So yeah, they've got a series of punches, combination punches that they're throwing. The second punch in that combination was to undermine our leadership. The first was to make you feel helpless, make you feel as though this was unstoppable, to make you feel as though you're alone. That's why they did it all by executive order, did not involve the legislature. It's why they're failing in court already. Just today, we had another judge say, you can't unilaterally fire all the people at USAID. That's not how our government works. We do not have a king. But they knew it would take time, just like it did under Nixon. It takes time. And yeah, they'll win some fights, but they're going to lose the war. But they're hoping that you will feel defeated. They're hoping that you will feel they're inevitable, that they're much more powerful than they are, when they're really inept, they're really stupid. They're really politically already Trump's underwater. Worst approval ratings of any president to take office at this point in their presidency. It's already on fire. Their administration, the Trump regime, is already on fire. They are not inevitable. They are not. You need to hold the line. And that includes every one of those little shits that you come across on social media. Don't be kind. Don't be kind. No more circular firing squads. This will take time. The response will take time. The response will come in the budget negotiations that we're about to have. And yes, I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not selling you pie in the sky bullshit that we're going to have a revolution and stop all this, and that if you just send me some money, we'll make Trump go away. Bullshit. Trump is here for 47 more months. And you better hope he don't die, because J.D. Vance is worse. But if we put the Democrats back in charge of the House and then the Senate in the midterms, we can blunt all of this. We can stop all of this. Yeah, we're going to lose time. Again, not promising you pie in the sky bullshit. Even a weak, feckless, stupid president can do a lot of damage. That conversation was for November, last November. 47 more months of this shit. Get your shit wired straight and hold the line. I love you, folks. This is Old Texas Paul. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.